Greetings, people. It's been a
No,
while.
you were supposed to burp after that.
Fair enough. I'm rusty. It's been a while since I've been here. Greetings, people. Welcome to the Salt Grinder. I took a break. Was it 2 weeks or three? Not sure. Time. There is no sense of time when you're in quarantine in Ramadan. So, um, happy Eid for those who pray. I don't know. Um, it was definitely harder than usual Ramadan for me, at least. I don't know about you, Yasha, but no sense of time, no sense of purpose, quarantine, nowhere to go, um, and
No life or
fasting.
work
It
to
was
distract
yeah, nothing. So um, there was it's there's always a sense of morbidness to it. But but thankfully, it's all over now. We're now enjoying ourselves, pouring each other tea and indulging in the vapes. But tell me, how is the quarantine treating you so far, Yasha?
you. Right. Quarantine. I think I've gotten fairly used to it. In my province in Canada, in Manitoba, they're starting to open up. Our province, thankfully, hasn't been hit really. We got something of around 296 cases so far. 263 of them were cured, 7 of them died, and the remaining 13 are locked up in their houses. So no one's even in hospitals. Uh,
Oh, they're not taking them in, or they don't have
no,
the.
they're not sick enough to be
Oh, right, right.
to require hospital. So yeah, everything seems like it's starting to go back in the uh, removing the quarantine direction. I've heard things like they're gonna start opening up schools again in a way where you can send your kid if you want help, but they're not meant to show up.
Oh, no, attendance isn't mandatory, basically.
Yes, it's
All
if
right,
your
right,
kid
right.
needs help and wants to see the teachers, they can go. Uh, Still nothing about universities. Our university finally gave up and did what every other university in the country did, which is like, okay, fall semester next year will also be online until we see something else happen.
Yeah, and in Kuwait, like, I think things are cancelled until September. There's no mention of what happens after that, but nobody knows. Will the quarantine last until September? Personally, I don't think so. I think by September things should have been back to normal. There's only so much you can do. Okay, you stop the spread. People are aware. You prep the equipment, and now it's time for you to let it run its course, right? And there is no real like according to like if you look at the numbers, the countries that had a lockdown and the countries that didn't, the difference isn't that much, and the economic hit is still the same, right? So it's like everybody got hit. So I don't think there's a point to this lockdown anymore. There's no point to keep the quarantine going.
Well,
Countries got to open up slowly.
they gotta, but everyone's worried about wave two.
Wave two. What's wave two?
That they're gonna open up the lockdowns and everybody will start getting sick again. We'll get another outbreak.
Well, yeah, the numbers will increase surely, especially since people are cooped up and people are dumbasses. They're gonna go and get themselves ill. But the disease has to run its course. The vaccine is a year away. There's no way um, you can't lock down for a full year without like economically crippling yourself. So people are gotta open up, and it's funny too because you know what happened to England, right?
What happened?
Or in the UK, one advisor done something. He like supposedly he got ill with the coronavirus, and he went through the countryside or something, and went to his parents' house. I assume to drop the kid or something. Nobody knows exactly why he went. They just know that he did, and
Oh, that guy.
yeah, and the media was going like, right, and the problem with the media is doing is not that they're annoyed, like that they're not trying to find the truth and all that. Fine, but the problem is they're not sticking to quarantine code. You know, they're shoving mics in his face to find out whether he broke code or not and whether he's going to get punished. And of course, they want him to resign because that's always what the media wants, and he didn't. He's like, no, fuck you. I'm not going to resign. And the media can't have that, so they're ultra smearing him. I don't even know his name. Um, and let me look that up real quick. And like the weird part of all of it is um, reporters are out, people are doing their thing. Um, Even politicians are ignoring the quarantine at this point. So you know, how about we break the illusion? How about we just let the floodgates, let the weak get withered out, the elder population
Yeah,
reduced.
it's Dominic Cummings, right?
Oh, there we go, Dominic Cummings. Yep. Um, and just get on with our lives. Sure, people will die, and that's sad. But what else can you do? People die, and just let us move on. And if I get with it, and if I die, well, I'm willing to take that risk. I don't know about you.
Well, uh, from the point of we can't stay in quarantine that much longer, yeah, fair enough. I agree. But then you have something like what's happened a few days ago in Toronto. Um, Toronto is one of the provinces that got massively raped. Like in Canada, if you they have pretty decent numbers. We've been consistently around the Chinese numbers, if their numbers are real. Um, but you look deeper into the Canadian numbers, it's mostly uh, like a few cities that really got fucked the most. Toronto's one of them. And so they have all these, you know, laws about lockdowns and social distancing and all that. And a couple of days ago, in one of their biggest parks, apparently people just collectively forgot that the disease was there. And there were well
Okay.
over 1,000 people going out for picnics and shit.
Picnics.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't. I don't think it was organized. There was no mention in the news that it was organized. It just kind of showed up there.
Okay.
And in in a city like that one, people are projecting that they're gonna have another outbreak within a couple of weeks. Once,
Once this virus sets in, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So wait, so what you're telling me is people just went to the park and just all on the like on a whim, and they just happened to all go there at the same time.
yes,
There is no lockdown and or no like curfew or lockdown that's happening in Canada. Yes? So there was nothing stopping them.
no.
Okay.
Even you can go to the parks for the most part. You just have to maintain the you know you're
Just
in a limited amount of numbers, and there's a good distance between you and the next people.
right,
And
right.
that wasn't happening. Um, and as you do, I went on to the comments to see what's happening. Most comments were disappointed, or mocking the situation. But then I found out something which gave me a good laugh. Um, with this whole quarantine thing, the American mentality is starting to seep into the Canadian people, right?
How so?
I've seen multiple comments bullshitting the video just because it's from the Canadian broadcasting company, CBC. The media are biased liars. I've seen
Oh, are the Canadians calling fake news?
they're calling fake news. Those Canadians, I think, they seem to be very right, I guess, and they call this channel as a whole fake news. I think Donald also does that to Fox News. Is it? Which
No,
one?
I think he does that to CNN. Yeah, to CNN.
Yeah, one of these guys. Yeah, COVID deniers, a good amount of them. Wake up, people! It's a hoax. It's a power grab.
Yeah, actually, I've heard this from multiple sources saying that this entire mess is just a tool to give governments more power. But I mean, they could use it, but the fact that they made it, it's it's not how things are done traditionally. You don't say America did Pearl Harbor. You say the Japs did Pearl Harbor, and then the Americans led it so they can get into the war. You know, so Spain, right? Spain is the one that's most affected in Europe, right,
Yeah.
with the disease. And do you know why?
Why?
Because a bunch of feminists decided during quarantine time, like from the beginning of the virus thing, to like amass a protest instead of stay the fuck home, instead of staying the fuck home, and bada bing, bada boom, they get hit, and Italy, hug a Chinese, and they get hit. These don't seem like I don't know. Do these seem government sanctioned to you? Like, is it like a government's like, oh, let the feminists protest on quarantine day to make it worse? It doesn't seem like it. It seems like a bunch of happenstance. And then governments are like, oh, in order to deal this, we need executive authority. And it's now a matter of whether to give back the executive authority or not. It seems like a bunch of reactions, like trends and the trends and forces influence the flow of politics and history, not not a grand Illuminati that sits down and tells you we want more control, release the virus. To me that sounds ridiculous.
From the aspect of just like global, every government in the world wanting some more control, an economic hit like this would not justify that. They'd be able to see something like that happen. Yeah, it's not worth it. That's number one. And then you have the people saying that, it was planned by a certain country to ruin other countries. And then, once again, everyone got screwed over economically. Plus, second of all, are you really doubting the intelligence capabilities of all countries on planet? Like, no one would have seen that one coming.
No, here's the funny part, right? I can buy China doing this, i.e., China got the virus. They didn't want to be the only ones who get the economic hit, so they're like, okay, let it spread, let it spread. Um, do hug it, facilitate hug a Chinese. Call, influence the media. Tell everybody that if you blockade China, you're racist. Tell the World Trade Health Organization will pull out the funding if you say COVID is contagious. And then once it's spread, they're like, oh, okay, now everybody has it. Everybody falls with us, and since we're the first, we'll recover first. Okay, that's I can see that being an advantageous move they could do. That makes sense.
Yeah,
But
that one makes sense.
Yep, but to say that China like slapped themselves in the face, right,
They
and
invented
then
it.
and then slapped everybody else, that doesn't sound right. That then it would have originated from somewhere else. Would have originated, I don't know, from South Africa or something. And everybody was like, "Oh, see, the Africans aren't clean. See that we get increased funding for charity programs, so we oppress the people in Africa more and steal their shit, and everything is fine, everything is good." There was a growing trend of like totalitarian control that the establishment of if we're gonna coin Arasan here, that the establishment is trying to assert over the people. More uh, more leftist policies, control over the media, etc., etc. It's trying to guide people towards a certain direction. This coronavirus breaks everything. Every plan that was ever made is delayed. I don't care what your plan is. If you plan to go on a picnic, that picnic is ruined, right? And imagine, if your picnic involved 20,000 people, if not millions of people, then nothing. You get nothing. So there's no way this is just a grand scheme. This is more of a bunch of shit happened and people reacted, and then people want any justification to basically what do you call it? Realize that the world is not governed by randomness and an ungrateful, unfeeling, undeserving universe that does whatever the fuck it wants. That man is not in control. Most people, especially in the West, cannot accept that.
Yeah, especially in the West, they just really want to have a villain.
Yep.
It always has to be somebody, whether it's the Muslims and Arabs after 9/11. Right now, it's the Chinese. I keep getting on my Instagram group with my friends. They keep sending memes about people swearing and insulting at the guy who ate a bat, apparently. Some are pretty fucking emotional about it, too. And I don't know, reached the point where, be it another government or your own government, whatever it is, someone did this to you, and fuck that person. And that's the only way you feel good about the situation you're in. It's to be a victim.
Yep, playing the victim card is. How dare you not saying it's ain't a conspiracy? Besides well, I told you the conspiracy. China got hit. They're like, you know what? No, it's not contagious. Nothing is wrong. Let it spread. Let it spread. Here's a conspiracy that makes sense. You can see the geopolitics behind it. Not Big Brother Illuminati wanting to take over the world via virus. Like Resident Evil's done that. And if you get if your plans of world conquest involve anything related to Resident Evil, then we know you're a comic villain and you'd be defeated anyway. So, but here's the thing. Here's the thing to the people moaning and groaning about the quarantine and blaming the people who ate the bat and whatever. As far as I'm concerned, the quarantine is a good thing. And here's why I tell you why. Okay, economic hits, blah blah blah. The economies recover. That's not the point. Yes, tell us your conspiracy, Dark Eye. Let's take a look. During this quarantine, a lot of life slowed down. And here's the thing. Chinese streamer spread virus so to gain stream money. Actually, I would believe that the streamers made the coronavirus before our governments, because they're the ones who benefit the most. So much streaming time. In any case, so during this quarantine, life slowed down, right? And I don't know about you, but my life was like a series of tempo management, right? I had to go from here to here, from here to there, from here to there, and this leads to this, and this leads to that, and that meant I have a low amount of sleep, 5 hours a day for the most part, and only on Fridays I catch up with a week's sleep, and that means 8 or 10 hours, and then I move from there. I don't need much hours to sleep. Usually, like a good 7 hours is like my maximum amount of sleep. And Um, Once things slowed down, I remember the first 2 weeks, it felt uncomfortable because so much tempo was being wasted. And that kind of pissed me off and got me annoyed. I wanted to continue on the wave, the climbing wave that I was going through, whatever that wave was, right? And then in week 3 and forward, I started relaxing. I started like I started opening things and getting to know things and parts about myself that I've never experienced before because I never had the time to do so. Played a bunch of video games, read a bunch of books, banged my head against the wall, whatever, right? And since time became less of a factor and it's more of when time becomes limbo, right? And you're caught in this limbo, there's a lot of things you can do consequence free. And I did them, right? And I enjoyed them very much. And here I am coming back, even like when I took a break from this stream, I come back and I come back much fresher. And I find myself, and once the quarantine lifts, I would like to think that my perspective has developed, right? And my tempo is stronger. So it wasn't me trying to play catch up after I finished college. It's more of just me doing my things after college. And to me, that alone is worth a lockdown. And I would like to think a lot of people had that same idea. And the only people who are spiteful are the people who did not get anything out of this. Who the people who their entire lives was locked to an outside world outside of their control, and they thought they can control it. And now that they're out of it and cannot exert any influence or movement or any sort of activity, they're locked down and they're unable to do whatever they want to do. And so the question that comes here is it a bad thing? Is this lockdown objectively bad for people? And I honestly think it's not. Also, hi. But yeah, we're talking. I'm basically arguing that the quarantine was a good thing.
Are you drinking
The lockdown.
this?
No, I'm drinking green tea
Who
because I'm out of
puts green
coffee.
tea in a fucking glass cup?
That's what I had on me. What do you want from me? Dude, I have no coffee. I ran out of coffee during a full lockdown. Okay.
Also, I love the angle by which my mandolin is popping. Like, I have a basket of laundry in the middle of my room, which is weird enough, and then I have a mandolin on top of that laundry, and it just the right angle of capturing my chaotic life. I love it.
No, to me, what I like I see the device, and what it looks like is like it's guarding the door, right? It's like from the way it's positioned, it looks like you've never left your room in like 3 weeks, right? And the only reason is because this thing is in your way. And
Trust me, it's not even about the quarantine. Even if the quarantine is lifted, you'll see weird phenomena, and that's what I call them, phenomena around my room.
But yeah, do tell us, Arasan, since you're here, is the quarantine a good thing, or was it good for you at least?
That guy just said period time. What is that supposed to mean? No period yet. I'm still zen, but yeah, give it 5 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, quarantine, good, bad for you, or in general.
Fuck the quarantine! I swear to God. Told you, 5 seconds max. I mean, it is bad. I mean, the government claims it needs it. So, and unless we study all the papers they have, I guess we'll have to take their word for it. I still think they handled it wrong. Like, for example, the biggest failure that the government ever made is, for the longest time, they said, don't worry, The supermarkets are well supplied. Everything is well supplied. Do not over buy. Keep everything normal. Buy the same amount you normally buy. And then on a Thursday, or worse, on a Friday, they announced that on Sunday there will be a full lockdown. You can't even go to the supermarket unless it's like once a week and you have to book it. So that Saturday between, like, the supermarkets were so crowded, like people took pictures and videos of it. It's like, to me, that's a failure. That's a failure.
Well,
But
here's the
as
thing.
far as the quarantine goes, honestly, the ban should be lifted, not only for us and our entertainment, but also for the economy. You did what you could. I hope you're prepared by now. I hope when you said we need till the 30th of May, you actually meant it, and now you're actually prepared.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I wasn't meaning, for politics or for, for countries. I was mainly referring to people, because the context of this is a lot of people are bitching and moaning and throwing blame out there for their misfortune during the quarantine, and a lot of people consider 2020 to be a bad year because of this virus and what it did to them. And to me, this quarantine has been doing me more good than it has done me bad. Sure, I want to get out, but this period that I stayed at home in, I've used well. I've caught up on sleep, managed a lot of tempo.
Honestly, people bitch too much. 2020 is a bad year. You want a bad year in 1945. That's a bad year.
1940. 45 was done. That's a great year.
Yeah, it ended with a nuke. Tell that to Japan.
No, Japan has been having bad years since the beginning of time.
But Japan is the only country on the face of the earth and on the entire history that actually got nuked.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Japan woke up, became aware, and they realized that they were living on the corpse of a dragon, right?
No, dragon is too cool for them. They'll actually own up to it.
No,
they're living on the corpse of a drone. Just for context, I've been playing The Witcher, and basically, long story. Yeah.
No, I was mainly referring to their creation myth. Didn't a dragon with a mustache sneeze the wrong way and died, and then the islands were made?
Talking about Banku, I think that's Chinese. The creation myth in Japan is what's his name? Nagi. Not Nagi. Yeah, it has Nagi. Man and woman. Japan. What do they call their god? Kami.
Man and woman, Japan. Yeah, that's a great thing to Google.
No, their names are literally translated to man who does something and woman who does something. Nami.
Yeah, it's Nagi and Nami. Don't worry about
it. No. It's a full name. It slipped my mind. I fucking took it in a college exam over this.
Yeah, that's why you forgot. That's what exams do to me, at least.
Okay, creation myth fucking Japan. And yes, I wrote fucking. Japanese creation myth. The myth. Don't give me all Izanagi and Izanami. There we go.
And the Iza is very important.
Yeah, it's translated to
Dumb and Dumber?
Man who invites and woman who invites. So yes.
No, it's a man who stole from the Koreans and the man who stole from the Chinese. That's their creation myth.
Do you want the cringiest thing ever? During the creation myth of Japan, when Izanagi and Izanami discovered sex together, they basically didn't know it, but they both had a conversation that just, I notice your body has a hole, and I notice my body has something that's out of it. What if we put the two together? It's so cringy. It's like only Japan can come up with something like that. So, only Japan.
So yeah, that makes no sense. But yeah, it's Japan.
Did
It's
they have
Japan.
trial and error
It's
with each
fucking
hole?
Japan. Dude, and
Yeah,
they gave birth to islands. It's
they
like,
give birth to islands.
how
Holy mother!
fucked up your womb has to be.
So wait, so the
Or
godly.
rather, the only seed that can create an island is an actual seed. Are you a
Perfect.
plant man? Are you Groot? Are you Groot?
Perfect. That's anime for you.
Please, everybody abuse this profile picture, please.
No, here's the thing. The quarantine for you personally, the time off you have from people, was it good or bad for you?
It was disturbingly the same. It's like, usually in my life, I don't have order, and I distract myself by going out with my friends. And during the quarantine, my life is chaotic, even though I have projects. The same way outside quarantine, and I'm distracting myself with friends over Discord. It's disturbingly the same. If anything, it says more about me than the politics and the quarantine.
Well, thank you that you said okay. You're socializing because like for a second there, I thought you were going the introvert route. You know, like
Nah.
oh, welcome guys. You know, like first time and all that stupidity. Like they're not like they don't want to kill themselves as well.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing. So people are bitching and moaning about the quarantine, right? Or about the fact that their year has been wasted, or their year has been like is gonna be wasted, and everybody has like a doom and gloom attitude about like the coming months because
But there
2020.
there has been many years that you spent wasting trying to impress people on Instagram and around you. And there will be many years to come where you can do that. You only get 1 year like that where you're forced to live with yourself and have some introspection. Fucking cherish it. It's like a treat, you know? It's like when you order fries and then you get an onion ring. Like, it's that onion ring. It's rare. Use it for its full capacity. Because guess what? As soon as the quarantine is done, you're back to your bullshit. Family, college, job, impressing people you don't give a shit about. You're gonna have time to do that. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm gonna be happy watching you and watching all of us suffer through life. Enjoy this little treat that's a little bit different. No, it's not a wasted year. You're a wasted life.
No. Here's the thing. Okay, people see this year as the year of doom and gloom. I disagree. It's the year that we avoided the World War, survived an epidemic. Okay, these are all success terms. Why are we looking at this as like a year as a failure? As far as I'm concerned, this is a step up from what we've been in.
And I didn't get to go to Barcelona.
Thank God. Thank God.
The Spanish.
Look, I don't think that Corona is an omen from God. But the cancelled trip to Barcelona, that was an omen from God. Don't go there. That's shit.
Yeah, what is there in Barcelona?
I
Besides
don't know. I heard
Spanish
it's
people.
the number one like tourist location.
Why? Because people have football matches there.
I know people who definitely go there for the football, but they also have that weird cathedral thing, which apparently people think look good.
Yeah, but they have Catholics there. The Spanish.
I mean,
Am I the only one seeing what's wrong here?
I mean, last time Arabs thought that Barcelona is a good tourist spot, we almost invaded France.
We did invade France. Technically, it was a raid.
What happened?
It's a raid. It doesn't count. It's not an invasion.
Well, they took Spain. They're like, let's we took it easy. Let's see the other chums in France. and then they met Charles the Hammer, and he smacked them, and they're like, okay, enough with let's leave those people alone. Spain is good enough.
Don't worry, don't worry. We'll invade them on the long run, and we'll only see the fruits of it in 2020.
Yes. Did you see the video with Nigel Farage just in a boat? These French are smuggling migrants through England or whatever. And I'm like, all I can think of is please invade Normandy again. Please invade Normandy. Please let this be aggression. Let it escalate. It's been so long since we've seen French-English aggression. They've been too friendly for too long. This is unnatural. All right, we need another. Who's going to be hegemon of Europe again? Okay, the World Cup is still undisputed, and Britain is the victor, even though the US is pumped up. All right, we need to settle this. The World Cup still is on Britain's side. We need to challenge it. All right, but yeah, what do you think? Yeah,
if Britain gets France out of the EU, it will be the most ironic thing. Yet again, England has to save France from a German invasion. It's like, please, there's deja vu and there's deja vu.
No. If they get Le Pen elected in the next election, they're definitely Frexiting out of there. And once that happens, Germany will be like, all right.
Honestly, the French population are pussies. I don't think they'll elect Le Pen.
Electing Le Pen requires British balls. I agree.
Yeah,
it's
it's like
the one spearheading European globalist agenda.
what?
Can you repeat that?
France and Germany together are the spearhead of Europe.
Yeah. France under Macron, not Le Pen. Le Pen is the exact opposite. Le Pen is the Nigel Farage of France.
Yeah, she was foraging when foraging was foraging. They were foraging together.
Dude, she's like the daughter of the leader of the Conservative Party, or one, almost UKIP type party there. Generations of hatred of the EU.
Here's the thing. You know why France joined the EU, right?
Why?
So the basic idea is there have been 2 world wars, okay? And twice, who fucked France? I don't think I need to answer that, right? So they're like, okay, the Maginot Line didn't work. No fortification works. The Rhine River doesn't work. The rest of the land is defensible. The only place we can be invaded from, besides the sea, is the Germany. So what do we do about that? How about we become Germany? So they joined with the EU. Now that they're economically united, they're basically, it's not in their interest to actually attack us anymore. So basically, the strategy France had to deal with Germany is just be their bitch.
Dude, that's not the strategy of France. That's the strategy of the EU. The EU started as a measurement to contain Germany. And then Germany took over, as usual, because you don't contain Germany.
Dude,
Germany is like me in Splatoon. I thrive under strife. You put me in trouble, that's a big mistake.
No, here's the thing. Germany is just the place. The placement is shit, but that's it. Everything else they're great at as a nation. It's just don't let them have any ideas of imperialism, and just have them chill and democratic and liberal. Most importantly, you maybe take that Merkel out. Just put her just like this, just replace the pod of Merkel, put something else. It's not good. Merkel's not good for anyone. I don't know how she's still there. Her people don't like her. I don't know a politician that likes Merkel. Nobody likes her. Why is she still in office? Doesn't make sense to me. I guess the EU likes her, but then again, they're the EU. But
Her
enough.
power, her rule is very solidified.
How? But by the Syrian migrants she brought in?
No,
offense,
by
Yasha.
just paying off the right people. It's easy to screw over democracy in Europe. It's very tough in the US. It is possible, and they do it, but it's much easier in Europe, except for the UK.
Yeah,
But then again, the UK
practically
isn't
just-
European. Dude, the
Yeah.
UK has the Spartan syndrome. You know what the
No,
Spartan syndrome is?
we're better than everybody. Fuck all of you.
No, yeah, but where does it come from? Why did they have slaves? Why were they cruel with their slaves?
The British?
The Spartans.
Oh yeah, the Spartans, because they're more than them, and if they rebel, we're fucked.
Yeah,
Gotta
but
keep 'em-
where does that paranoia come from?
Well,
It comes
I don't know.
from it's again anthropologically, it
Uh-huh.
comes from the idea in Spartan culture that they are not originally from this place, that they're foreigners. So they're paranoid.
Right.
They're like the natives will screw us over. So this idea that we don't belong to this landmass is the reason why they're very paranoid about their slaves. Same thing with the UK. It's like they have this syndrome where we don't belong to Europe. We're always different. We're always, like that paranoia from Europe, that Euroscepticism, it's embedded in the UK, which is a good thing.
No, the thing with the UK is they've always been the policemen of the world in a way. They've always been that tip that scales the balance.
Yeah, great,
And-
better.
Yes, it's like if you want to know whether you won the war or not, you look at the war list, and if you see Britain, you're like, great, Britain, and that's where Great Britain got its name. That's the mythology of Great Britain. But
Definitely cooler than Izanami and Izanagi.
what the British had Celts, right? So that's ultimately 100 times cooler than anything the Japanese could ever come up with. No, so
Oh, yeah.
that's auto win, right?
But the
they
cult
died.
versus the samurai. By the time the samurai is done doing the routine, the cult is already charging at them, teabagging them.
No, dude, the Celts would win by just sheer numbers, right? Because while the Japanese is busy, like doing the I don't know the konnichiwa, I don't know. The Celts would already be there, and they would be already drunk, and they'd be fighting while drunk, so they can't actually the Roman strategy to beat the Celts is like survive the first charge, because if you survive the first charge, they'll be too drunk and too tired to actually continue fighting. So your job is basically to wear out the clock, and I don't think the Japanese can manage that.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. Hypothetical for honor fucking scenarios don't matter. All right. Let's move on. I want to talk about something that I've been noticing on YouTube. So I was doing my thing, and I got into archery videos. God knows why. I just archery videos. How does archery work? Let's click. Watch a couple, and then I saw that basically there's like a dispute happening. Like a big internet drama happening in the archery community, which is that a couple of
Archery
YouTubers.
community.
Right. It sounds ridiculous, but it's basically some people are saying that shooting from the made some videos whether shooting from the right of the bow is viable, and if the bow, it's C shape, and then there's a string, and the string is on the right side, and the classical way people shoot arrows these days is that you put the arrow on the left side, not on the right side, and that's supposed to give you more stability and accuracy. than shooting on the right. But some YouTubers are like, okay, some people say shooting from the right is better. Let's try it out. And then they tried it out and did some, like, said some of the benefits from shooting on the right side, right? And like people started like getting really, really upset about people shooting from the right. And basically they were trying to basically tell you that if you shoot from the right, then you're simply wrong. And they made like a series of videos doing that, and then the people who shot from the right made a series of videos to defend shooting from the right. And that got me thinking. That sounds a lot like gatekeeping, right? You either shoot my way or it's not right. Let me show you the meta of shooting a bow. And if you diverge away from the meta of shooting a bow, then you're wrong and you should be shamed for it, right? And I started looking up more communities, just looking at just what's going on here, right? And I noticed like a going trend, which is like for every hobby, for every activity you can think of, there is always like a couple of people who want to tell you exactly how you're supposed to do it, and if you don't do it right, you're wrong. And that they're basically gatekeeping the entirety of their activities. And it's mostly on the internet. And if it's not on the internet, it's on the clubs. If you go into a club and, I don't know, the club is, say, kendo, right? To bring Yasha in, or Hema, or jiu-jitsu, I don't know. People always try to tell you the way you're supposed to do it. And if you say, well, what about this? And you try it out and it works, they would still not accept the fact that it works for you. And the question here that comes is, why is gatekeeping such a popular thing? Why is it such a common trend?
Well, to be honest, it is a very debatable question. It's a very debatable, controversial topic. Because honestly, I can't help but see both sides of this argument. Like, I'll give you an example. So, I like music. I'm learning music. I'd like to call myself a musician, even though technically I can. Here's the deal. Sometimes the people who tell you the quote-unquote meta or the right way to do it do have a point. Because for many activities, especially the activities that have to do with hands-on things, even if it works now, you are bound to develop certain bad habits. Like, it is very important for you to learn the appropriate method. These methods were not set up by idiots. And, contrary to a popular belief, it's not like they're set because, nobody's willing to change them. So it is appropriate, because sometimes short-term benefit doesn't mean that this thing is to your benefit on the long run. You might develop bad habits. I'll give you a simple example. So, for example, I'm learning guitar, and a lot of people, there's two schools of thought. One of them tells you that when you pick the guitar, some people like to keep their pinky on the body of the guitar, so they have an anchor point. Some people don't like to do that. When I tried to put my pinky, my accuracy increased. But I stopped doing that because I'm like, even though my accuracy increased, going the long route and learning to play free without actually touching the body, just free, they call it floating hand, this thing will give you more speed once you go. It will give you more flexibility, more freedom. So suffer a little bit, but do learn the appropriate method. That type of thing, And, especially, when you talked about jiu-jitsu and kendo and whatnot, I think it's even worse if you're doing a sport, because you can actually fuck up a muscle big time. But then again, there are multiple variants. First of all, a lot of people who insist on something, they just tell you what they heard from their shitty teacher, or they tell you, like, what they think is right. That's one thing. Another thing is, they don't know who you're talking to. Like, if somebody's playing the guitar just to, strum a few tunes here and there, impress their friends, they can get away with, putting the pinky on the body. But if they want to expand their skills and maybe even turn professional, then all of this becomes relevant. So you can't treat every person like they want to go professional. Some people don't want to go professional, so no need to be super strict about the methodology. So yeah, I see both sides of the argument. I think both have a point, and mostly it's not what's said, it's how it's said. And
What
and the
about
context, you know.
what about you, Yasha?
You bring up topics like sports, for example, and sports. I haven't seen anyone who was gatekeeping in the sense that they were passionate about their specific method, especially since if you look at martial arts, they have this idea of schools, it's a
Right.
bit romanticized, and in a way I like it. They recognize that, okay, we do things this way and they do it that way. But it's most of what I've seen is just something to the sense of, okay, you're not allowed to experiment until you're at this level. So shut up and do what you're said. Do what you're told. And once you reach a level of experience where you have polished all the basics, you're not gonna fuck yourself over or get a bad habit, then you can start messing around. So to speak. And with things like music, I'm not sure about the free-handing one, the free picking. Maybe maybe you're right. If you learn to anchor with your pinky in the beginning, you'll build that habit for your entire career. Even if you go professional, I think it's probably something that you can easily get out of that habit. It's just that anchoring pinky is such a natural thing. People do it without being told to do it.
Well, a lot of things are natural, but that doesn't mean that what's natural is good. Cyanide is natural. But for that one,
Weird
just
example, but okay.
no, it's very
Weird example.
dude. This is an actual fallacy. Like if you read the list of logical fallacies in an argument, one of them is
Appeal to
appeal
nature. Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
I'm telling Trillian. I know you know. We know you're a genius.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, like even if something does feel natural, that doesn't mean that it's appropriate, because sometimes you're fooled to what's natural. The simplest example I can give is singing. So when you are born as a baby, you breathe a certain way. Later on, you forget how to breathe that way, and you breathe in a different way. Let's say as an adult, you want to learn singing, and you try to breathe. What comes natural to you is that secondary habit you developed later, but you forgot your actual nature when you were an infant, which is breathing in a certain way. So singers are actually trained to breathe the same way they were breathing as infants, which is, expand the diaphragm, focus a lot on the belly, don't breathe from the lungs, but actually breathe from the stomach, the way infants do it. But when you talked about the anchoring, that one actually falls, that specific example falls in the school thing that you mentioned. They are actually treated like different schools. A school says you can anchor, another school says don't anchor. But that is one example I gave. The way I chose not to anchor is, if I don't anchor, I'll develop accuracy that I can easily carry over once I anchor. But if I anchor and try to not anchor, I'll need to learn all the accuracy and develop the muscle memory of where each string is, just by memory and second habit. So I'm like, go the hard route. But again, that's a simple example. There are a million ways you can develop bad habits in music, on every instrument. Like, for example, I have a bad habit in music. Like when I do certain chords, I'm supposed to do this, but I actually cross my thumb to do the chord, which that is a bad habit I developed. That will take me months to break from. and I'm not interested in breaking from it because I don't want to be a professional pianist, which is my point, which is, know the person you're talking to. I don't want to be a pianist, so I don't care.
Well, here's the thing. Let me make this easier for you, right? And I'm gonna go back to the archery example just to give you context of what I mean. So, when it came to shooting from the right, some people said, okay, some people did some objective analysis, right? And they're like, okay, like studying the mechanics of bows, shooting from, if you want to shoot at a steady target or a still target, and you want to get the most accurate result, shooting from the left makes sense, which is why people did it. But if you want to free shoot, i.e., like shoot rapidly or shoot flexibly, you must shoot from the right. It is slightly less accurate, and maybe in like if you're training for the Olympics and you want to get the most accurate hits possible, you have to shoot from the left. But for any other circumstance, shooting either way makes sense. And what the people who are used to, like the gatekeepers, I like to call them, did is basically they started making videos saying that shooting from the right is 100% wrong and there is no immediate benefit for it, nor should a beginner even consider it. They doubled down on the fact that shooting from the left is the only proper way to shoot the longbow, which was the subject of the discussion. So, what's happened here is basically that people just refuse, in that case, refuse to accept that their methodology is not the only one that is possible to get towards the goal. So it's like saying, a guy who hears by ear, or plays by ear, to use the guitar analogy, is doing it wrong, because what you're supposed to do is learn music theory and composition and use these rules and guidelines. And if you just learn by ear, you're just kind of throwing stuff in the wind and throwing your talent out, and it's wrong and shouldn't be applied. It just makes your job harder. When it's just different styles or different ways of approaching the same problem. One may take longer, but if it's more natural to the person, it won't. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
and
That's why I said it's very, very context specific, and you need to know the person and what they're aiming for, which is very important. Honestly, I think that the entire meta thing originated from video games. Some video games, especially card games, they worry too much about meta, and it originated from there. If you think about it, the gatekeeping phenomenon didn't start till it started in video games and card games. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? Why does it happen though? If it originated from card games, and I agree with you, it became way more prevalent in more modern times where the internet became a thing. And that's the connection that I found that kind of interested me. Is it the fact that exposure and having the person kind of associate their identity with their proficiency online, with that thing that they're working on, and therefore to stay as an authority, they need to have a stance, and their stance should be strong, and so people can listen to them. Because if you're an instructor that says do whatever the fuck you want, you're not really a good instructor, right? So they have to double down on it. And since they're not really teachers, nor are they dealing with actual human beings, they're dealing with an environment that kind of promotes kind of entering echo chambers. Is that kind of what got them into this mentality? Like, is it a phenomena of having internet?
I think it's a phenomenon of having competitions in general, and people who just want to win, and they wanting to win leads you to start thinking about what is the easiest or most consistent way of getting there, and that's what creates meta. For example, like in Kendo, 80 to 90% of players in competitions all use the same stance, the universal stance, where it's holding the sword up from the waist towards the opponent's neck, because that's the most consistent in both defense and attack. The remaining 10-20% all use Jordan, the high one. If they're a Tor player, they have an advantage where they can. You know how you have to lift up the sword, then go down to hit an opponent? Well, they have an advantage of they can just go down. So some players do it that way, but the entirety of the community, when it comes to fighting in a competitive stance, will tell you to do it this way, to play this stance, because you want to win, right?
Well,
That's
but
kind
here's
of
the
meta there.
But here's the thing, right? And now that I thought about it, I thought of an example where the meta got broken in history, and that's when the English longbow started destroying the French knights, and basically the knight meta got destroyed, and the effectiveness of the ranged
Okay,
weapon
now we're going in the dicey
got,
territory. No,
got fucking
hold on.
destroyed. But no, let me finish up. The point of it, the point I brought that example in is that if we're going to look at the toughest meta of all, it has to be warfare, right? Because that's where winning is most important. And if we look at anything that we learned from warfare, is that things have to keep evolving, or otherwise you won't be able to compete. And what I notice about a lot of the fields like that like people work on these days, it's mostly stagnant, as in there are no new creative ways of approaching problems, and masters are not really pushing the bar when it comes to exploring new techniques. It's more about perfecting what they already know to be true, and shutting down anybody's ideas of getting better at something. And
Yeah,
that's where my gatekeeping
depends,
problem. Yeah.
It really depends. Which field are you talking about? Because here's the deal. Both you, Turlian, and Yasha, you both picked up martial arts. So correct me on this, or confirm or deny this. You don't really see that toxic gatekeeping in martial arts as much as you see it in video games.
You disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah, there is one exception to that rule, which are two exceptions, but they count as the same. And it was done because of it came from jiu-jitsu, and then it moved on to MMA, which is the fact that all these sports got put together, and now we know what works and what doesn't. And if you want to compete in this environment and increase the prestige of your sport, whatever it is, then you're gonna have to adapt and change your tactics and think of creative ways to do things. That's why jiu-jitsu is always evolving and coming up with new styles, is because they want to keep on becoming the best style objectively. And whether they are or not is up to you to decide. However, if you look at judo, they don't change shit. When the jiu-jitsu guys started kicking their butt, they started entering their tournaments and kicking their butt. They made a rule, because in judo before, the throw is a stage, and then the guy who got thrown has like 5 minutes to try to submit the other person, and if he manages to do it, well, that was part of the judo sport. When the jiu-jitsu guys started coming and kicking the judo guys' butts, they made that period a 30-second period instead of 5 minutes, basically to stop the jiu-jitsu guys from actually winning their tournaments. So instead of evolving their judo sport, they instead chose to limit the participation so they can focus on the things they like about judo, and that way they stagnated their field.
No, hold on. I didn't ask whether sports have a rigid meta or not. I'm asking, does sport or video game has a more toxic gatekeeping culture?
Well, it wasn't
Like,
that a good
yes,
example of...
like yes, judo might have a meta, but does it have, like, if you mess up the meta, do you really have angry people that will
Well, that was the reaction, right? And judo is tame. Look at martial arts that didn't really have much success in MMA, like, I don't know, Aikido, right? Any Aikido guy that decides to step out of their dojo and do anything gets smacked in the face easy by any martial art. And so their response to it is non-violence. Let's go full Gandhi on it and pretend like our sport works, but it's too dangerous to apply to MMA. Isn't that toxic? Just distancing yourself from the entirety of the other martial arts.
That's stupid, not toxic. Toxic would be, an ill-spirited attitude to people who do things differently. That would be toxic.
there is like actually like for Aikido specifically, there's always a sense of entitlement and superiority from the fact that they don't participate. You know, you guys are beneath us, and that's a lot of martial arts still fit into that mentality. Only the ones who melded with MMA kind of grew out of that and got, because if you stick to your martial arts and MMA, you get humbled. And all the martial arts, you know, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, all of these guys, all of them, like, you know, just developed humility in that regard. But the rest of the martial arts in general, they're still toxic as fuck.
Well, fair enough.
Is it more toxic than gaming? I don't know, but they're definitely out there.
Because I definitely like hypothesize that it's more toxic in games and card games, and my theory goes is that, you know, by affirming that there is a meta and an appropriate way to do it, you affirm your field, and thus affirming that your field is legitimate, and thus affirming that your interest is legitimate. It's like, you know, being too paranoid about people who say, oh, games are for kids or stuff like that. So it becomes like, I cannot accept that any person can play this and have fun and, you know, do well, because that means that I'm useless. That means that everything I did is useless. It means that my proficiency at this field or this game is not legitimate. To me, like, the way I see it, I think that's the cause of it.
Actually, I can see what you're coming from, where you're coming from, and I can see why I made the link about the internet and gatekeeping specifically, because of the same reason you've just mentioned. Is because, you know, I have to legitimize my own existence in this place, and therefore I have to seem like I'm a master at the field, or I have legitimacy in the field, and therefore I gotta have a stance and stick to it. And if I show,
and with games, it's even worse, because you're not only affirming the legitimacy of your skills in the field, you're affirming the legitimacy of your field itself. That this game isn't for kids, this game isn't easy. No, this game is very difficult, and it requires thinking, and it requires a lot of things that it goes onto it. The game is not for kids, it's a legitimate game. It's a way to affirm the field itself.
That is actually interesting, because you know, okay, let's use paladins for an example, right? And I want to go to the chat, and, you know, once we were doing it, like we were all playing together. I remember for Virus, who's in the comment section, shout out, like, subscribe, share. They were playing, like we were playing, and he was playing a character, Victor, who was like, you know, just your regular FPS dude. And he had this particular ability that is not very popular to use. He's very good at using it, and he does decently well. So, you know, I didn't even look, right? Like, no complaints. But then you see a guy in the chat who is part of our team saying, oh, look, Cardio Victor, what a noob, or something like that. And you look at that, and you're like, so you didn't look at the performance, you just looked at the pick and determined that this person is not very good because they chose the ability that you do not agree with, or that you've been told is not the best. So what gives here, right?
Yeah.
What's the point? And it's strangely odd. Do people get like a sense of superiority that they know something other people don't, or that they feel like they, because they looked up a few guides, or they were told the right way of doing things, that's it? Because I know when I started playing a game like Paladins, and I asked somebody, like I asked for builds, it was because I was too lazy to explore on my own. So until I have enough experience with messing around on my own, I'll just steal what other people figured out, and then figure out for myself once I'm better, right? But for a lot of people, it's more like once I know that this is true, then everything else is wrong, and screw you. And that is ridiculous. And is there any way to deal with this? Is there any way to, like, because here's the thing. The reason I'm covering this topic is because that's like one of the biggest turnoffs to joining any game or any activity, right? Is you join in, right? And people don't give you tips and allow you to explore the game and figure it out and maybe make your route from zero to hero shorter and more pleasant. No. They force down your throat a specific way of doing things, and if you don't do it, you're wrong and you should be punished, right? You know, that turns a lot of new people off. So unless I'm elitist, I don't get to have fun, and that I think that's community breaking. I think that's just fun breaking. So is there anything to do about that?
Funny enough, that relates to an older, the stream we had with Khalid about Kuwait. Remember when I said, in class, we talked about how, where did the Bedouin thing start? Well, what do you think is the anthropological reason for it? And I said that Kuwait is a relatively recent country, and it's surrounded by bigger countries that are more established. And there's always a sense of, Kuwait's independence is like an illegitimate thing. We know it's actually part of something else, something like that. So because Kuwait is so paranoid about legitimizing its identity, it started adopting an exclusivist culture when it comes to getting new people in. So now it's not about including people as they join in, it's about excluding. Let's draw a clear line, a clear wall, in Kuwait's case, an actual wall, between the people who are actually Kuwaiti and the people who are not Kuwaiti. So whenever you're insecure about your own identity and your legitimacy, you start becoming exclusivist. So not only do the meta people, the obnoxious people, unintentionally turn away new people, they actually do it intentionally. We don't want these noobs coming in and ruining our game. They have that attitude. So they intentionally exclude people. Wherever there's an exclusionist culture, there's hints of insecurity when it comes to your own legitimacy.
Right. So what can be done? Because we're all fans of video games and card games here, and I know what we've just discussed really puts us off, right? So what can be done?
Honestly, realistically speaking, you ignore them. You have fun. You let the noobs come in. And these elitists will realize, because actually that's another anthropological theory, another anthropological concept, which, funny enough, it's one of the elements that happen in genocide and oppressing minorities. It's basically double alienation. I think maybe even Marx talked about this, which is when you alienate a population, when you alienate a minority, that's a bad thing, but not for the reason you think. When you alienate them, you alienate yourself from them. So it's, to put it in a very simplistic manner, it's like, these people, let's alienate them, let's put them in slums, let's put them in ghettos. And after a while, holy shit, we don't know what's going on in there. What are they up to? What are they up to? We don't know. You alienated yourself from them. So your paranoia grows even further. The more you alienate a group of people, the more your paranoia of what they're up to grows, because you alienated yourself from them. So what you do is let in the noobs, let them have fun in the corner. The meta people will be salty, and then they'll look and see these people are actually having fun. They're like, you know what, fuck it, let's have fun with them. So they'll chill down.
So what you're saying, basically, it's the same reason, like people say, good sportsmanship is good, not because good sportsmanship gives you a sense of moral authority or superiority. It's rather because it's pragmatic. Because if you apply good sportsmanship rules or principles, the people you're playing against are more likely to play with you again, and that's the thing that's most important. It doesn't matter if you win. It matters if you get to play and win 100 times or in the future. So
Yeah.
if you are not a very good sport, nobody will want to play with you, and it starts from being a little kid all the way up. And if you don't learn it as a little kid, and you become an entitled piece of shit as you grow up, and nobody curb checks you, you end up not getting why nobody wants to play with you.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. So
It's pretty much that. It's like the meta people alienate you as a noob. Use that alienation against them. By alienating you, they're alienating themselves from you. So don't respect their authority. Play without them. And after a while, they'll have to comply. Once they see that nobody's respecting their authority, nobody gives a shit about competing with them. People just want to have fun. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is going the rogue method. Have your own creative non-meta method and be the fucking best at it. And turn their life upside down.
Actually, that's really interesting because, card games, there are always like you look at the percentages, right? And if you look at Asian countries like Japan and these places, they like have like 90 or 95% of like the same deck, right? Or the same styles. Like they basically trained this one thing and is now gonna go and blah blah and do all that crap, right? And then if you go to the West, there's always a rogue mentality prevalent. There's always the best deck, the deck that counters it, and then the deck that counters the counter and can kind of hold its ground against the meta deck. And then there's the one that kind of comes out and kind of slaps all of them in the face because they are all happen to have this one weak thing, and this thing is going to abuse it. And you look at the percentages, and sometimes one guy makes it through a bracket, and you're like, right? And that's why, in my opinion, like the West kind of has it better than the East when it comes to their gatekeeping in very loose quotation marks, because there's always like a counter-picking mentality to their style of gameplay compared to the style that the East uses, which is like, let's do the statistics and go from there. And that's a big like cultural difference, I think. One is more likely to take risks.
There is a third way, which is much quicker. Like for those who don't know, like I have a rule when it comes to music. Whatever instrument you want to learn the keyboard first, because all the basics of music theory you'll get intuitively just by learning the keyboard. Whatever game you're playing, martial arts, video game, shooter, card game, learn Mahjong first.
Really? You're gonna do Mahjong?
Everything you need to know about the rules of games as a meta, like, game theory, you'll learn from Mahjong. Humility, the game is random, but has enough choice that gives you the illusion of having control. But yeah, there is a legitimate point here, which is, once you play Mahjong, you realize that you're never a master at a game. A game is your master. The game is your master. It's just about being the luckiest idiots in this labyrinth. Don't feel too safe. Don't feel, there's always something that will screw you over. And this is why, the people who are meta rage astronomically when a noob beats them. Because if they played Mahjong, they'll be like, yep, that's life. It happens. It should happen.
It tumbles you, huh?
I've already stared at the abyss. I know what it's capable of. You know, like I honestly like, you know, chess is beautiful. Chess is a beautiful game, and I understand the culture behind it. Honestly, chess has nothing over Mahjong. To me, Mahjong is the ultimate game.
It's funny about Mahjong. It's as of it like as no. Okay, let me rant. Fuck the interesting. Let me rant. Why isn't there a good Richie Mahjong fucking software that I can use to play online? What the fuck is wrong here?
Mainly
Nobody-
because of the demand. That's the problem.
What do you mean demand? Dude, there is.
Can
so
you
many
find?
simulators for
Can
the
you
most-
can you find me a Dharma simulator?
Yes. Do I look it up on the
Is
phone?
it-
There is one.
And is it in English?
1 second. Let me shit on you.
Because
But
if there is a good Mahjong simulator, they won't have a reason to translate it.
okay.
There has to be a Chinese.
Dama Online. There you go. Dama Online. Full English mode. But there isn't one for Mahjong. What is wrong with you people? Nobody, no coder in the world, no fucking nerd down his basement thought, oh, let me make an engine. Yeah, there was one, but there isn't any more, Darkrai. There isn't any more. Why isn't there one anymore? Okay? I just want to play with my friends. I don't even want the online matchmaking. Nobody cares about the online matchmaking. There is one for... You saw that Royal Game of Ur, that 5,000-year-old game that is in museums and nobody cares about? There's a simulator for it. There's an online mode. I can play online on that. Here, there isn't one for Mahjong. There's tournaments for this crap. There are tournaments. People watch it. People watch it and go, Sugoi! Yet there is no software that is outside of Japan. And even the one in Japan, I can deal with it. Okay? I can deal with it. I'll use the Japanese software. There isn't one that you can play with your friends in. It's like made by Newgrounds or something. Newgrounds is better coded than it. And everybody uses it. Am I crazy here? This is the internet. Everything exists. Rule 34. Where are you at?
What do you mean? That is not what Rule 34 is, dude.
Dude, there are games on Steam where you play like cute girls on fucking in Mahjong. How about
Actually,
keep
the
the
rule
cute
you're
girls.
looking for.
keep
There is
the
a-
cute
there is a
girls?
rule. There
Just
is
let
a
me
rule.
play with my friends. God damn it. Okay, I don't care if I have like a bitch avatar. Okay, I don't care if I have like you know I'm this big and I'm 1,000 years old in the game. I don't give. Let me play. I want to play the thingy. Nobody, not even as a mini game. Ridiculous.
Hold on. There is a rule. There is an internet rule. Yeah, you are right. It is Rule 34. Rule 34.3. If it exists, there is an app for it.
I remember it was under Rule 34 somewhere. So like
Yeah.
But again, it boggles my mind. Why is nobody doing it? Yasha, why aren't you on it? You know how much bank you can make? Like 0.1. That's more than you have right now.
That's fact.
Darkrai, learn coding, Unity,
Dude,
anything.
Dude, if Yasha makes it, whenever you reach it, it's like, you know, a samurai sword animation.
Oh, you have to play Yakuza.
No, okay. Do you know, guys, I was really this close to buying a course on Unreal Engine just so I can make a Mahjong simulator game. I was that tempted.
You don't need fucking Unreal for it.
I'm not going to use Unity. Fuck Unity.
Not even, dude, you can use Flash with that kind of shit.
I understand, but then again, why? Like, it's just it was right there. It was in front of me. I was looking at courses. I'm like, yeah, blah blah blah. Unreal Engine. Then I thought of all the souls I could save, and I'm like, nah. I stopped. Right, but it's this close. If this quarantine takes longer, if the lockdown extends, I swear I'm gonna call. You guys can keep me to my word. I'm making the game myself. God damn it! I'm not gonna play it on Tabletop Simulator. Fuck Tabletop Simulator. All right, it's not. It's not a game. Ugh. Ugh. Oh God. Yeah. The shame that one in Yakuza they didn't make it online. You're right, Yasha, because that engine was really nice, and you can make it like that with a snap. You can make it online, and it's just so sad.
Dude, if you develop an actual Mahjong simulator, and Google finds it, the AI would be complete. We'll actually have Skynet.
Actually, I'm now thinking of all the ways I control the Japanese just out of spite. Just make the game and make it mechanically the same, 100%. Everything is the same, Ricci and everything, right? But the only difference would be like the entire theme. Okay, who do the Japanese hate the most? Like the people. What culture do they hate the most? You guys have any idea?
No idea.
Okay, I got the idea. What I'm gonna do, okay, is I'm gonna make it in a nuclear bunker, okay, and like 4 players, and you have to choose between these 4 players. You have Kim Jong Un, okay, Xi Jinping, whoever the fuck the president of South Korea is, okay, and I put what's his name. Who else is in the region? The Filipino guy. What's his name? The Turkey, right? I put all 4 of them. Okay, they're all playing mahjong, listening to K-pop. Okay, in a nuclear bunker, and I'll do all of that just to spite the Japanese, because I'm a child, and I'm petty.
That would not piss them off.
What would piss them off? How would you do it if you want to piss off the Chinese or Jap? That would piss them off. But yeah, how would you do it?
Like what?
Darka, you join in on this too. Yeah,
No,
if you want to
game?
make a mahjong, you want to make a mahjong game, and you want to spite the Japanese for the fact that they forced you to make the thing. How would you shit on them? Darkrai, join in on this too.
I'd replace the 4 dragons with tsunami, earthquake, Mongols, and political unrest. Nuke, actually.
Nuke would be. Okay, Darkrai, I have the answer for you. Make 4 characters, and make every time you gain money, the nose gets longer. I'll leave that for Darkrai to laugh at. But yeah. Moving on from this, I have a question. Hi, dog.
Oh, you can hear that.
Oh yes, I can hear that loud and clear. I have a question. What would have happened in quarantine time if the internet shut down? One day. Let's say one day. Let's make it fun. A week. Let's say we're now on full lockdown, and the internet went out for a full week. What would happen?
Well, people will play video games.
No, we would play video games. But here's the thing: right now, most of the people are depending on their news on Twitter, Facebook, all of these platforms. Right? Let's say there was a worldwide shutdown. Somebody sneezed the wrong way, right, and cut the internet wire by mistake that connected everything to everything, and they don't know where the sneeze happened. So no, everybody's scrambling to fix it, but you know, virtually lockdown, right? And you have to go back to TV, and that's the thing, right? And I just imagine us going like what like 15, 20 years back when TV was a thing, and if you had to call your friend, you had to actually, if you want to talk to your friend, you had to actually call them. And I just imagine the culture shock that I will feel, right? What will be the culture shock that you guys will feel? What do we think will happen?
See, as much as I shit on people, you need to understand one thing about humans. We underestimate our ability to adapt until we're there. People will adapt. They'll panic for a day and then they'll actually enjoy TV.
I don't see myself enjoying TV after at that
No,
point.
you have video games.
Well, I have video games, I have
Because
books.
here's the deal. That if you draw a Venn diagram between people who play video games and people who have functional family lives, they won't meet. So the two circles. So
I mean,
the
fair
people who
enough.
the people who don't have video games will be like, "Oh, hey, family, what are you doing? Let us chat on TV."
Ugh. You know, I was the only one who
I
never did that in the family. Like everybody, like on my side of the family, like they would like group up, right, and do things, and talk. And what I would do is I would close the lights of my room early, so nobody would bother me. And then I would open my Nintendo, right, my Nintendo device of choice, either the Game Boy Advance or the Game Boy Advance SP or the one after the DS, and I would just play on that device for like hours, right? And there was always a going joke in the family that I was like that I always slept early, even just to play video games, and people thought or my family thought it was because I was trying to hide it from them, and I think I once told them, but they didn't get it. It's like, no, I just don't want you to annoy me. And I said it outright, but they couldn't it didn't even register to them. Like, we're annoying? How so? God forbid, right? um, it's odd, but let me ask you this, guys: isn't this the best Eid you've ever had?
don't ask me.
Still one place to spend 2 days with the same family.
All right, you're Syrian.
Yes.
You'll find a way.
I spent this Eid the same way I spend every Eid. By day 4, my family reminds me, and I'm like, wait, that was Eid?
No, to me it's beautiful. I didn't go anywhere. Basically, my mom had to come on the second day of Eid, all right, and she started scolding me. And she's like, "You didn't say hi to us on the first day of Eid." And I'm like, "Yeah, I was busy fixing my sleep schedule," right? And she was like, "Yes, okay, fix your sleep schedule. You can't spare 3 minutes just to talk to us." But I'm like, but you guys are right. You guys are right there. My bed's right here. Like, oh, it's too long of a road, right? And again, we already know. You already sent me the WhatsApp. Why? And she was like, and left, right, and I'm like, this is as much as it got. I didn't have to dress up. I didn't have to go somewhere. But granted, the food is nice, but the company isn't, right? And I didn't have to sit and pretend like I'm interested. Just sit at home, celebrate in the way I love most, sleeping. Beautiful, right? It was such a fresh change, like such a breath of fresh air. I swear, like to me, this quarantine is like when you have that 3 month break, the summer break in high school, just without all the bull crap, without all the just take the things I liked about that 3 month break and remove everything else I didn't like, and it's that I love it. 2020, great year, man. I still say it's a great year. What? No rebuttals, really? You guys just gotta look at me.
So,
I'm sleepy. I'm tired.
Sure. You guys, if you, I know both of you guys. One got out of bed and the other was going to bed. So you guys want to wrap this up for now? Have a short, nice hour-and-a-half stream.
I mean, unless there's something else you want to talk about.
I know. I'm out.
Elon Musk had to change his son's name.
Oh, XXYZWSC.
Or did it break the database of names?
Florida, I think, didn't allow it, so they had to switch the 12 to Roman numerals.
What? What the fuck?
You can't have numbers in a name.
Ah.
Right. Huh. That's weird. No. Okay. To me, here's the funny part of Elon Musk. Okay, he named his son something stupid, right? But to me, the most hilarious thing is him, literally being salty about the quarantine because he sees the negatives in his company, and he's like, "What's the last thing he is? Like Tesla is gonna get back to work, and if the police come and try to arrest anybody for breaking the law, I want you guys to arrest me. Just arrest me and leave my company alone, because I told them to go there." And he's like, free America and all that. And I look at him and I'm like, dude, I think you're having a very, very certain disease, and it's called celebrity worship. And I think you're suffering from it. And now you think you're invincible and you can do whatever the fuck you want. And there's a nice cure for that. It's called chilling the fuck out.
Whenever Elon Musk gets too salty, and I was like, free America now, I'm like, only thing I can think of is your marriage alright? Like, if I wanted to escape my wife so desperately, I do exactly everything you're doing step by step.
Actually, how many husbands can't wait to get out of the house? At least thinking of Kuwait and their dynamic. Like how many, I can think of Great Britain like, oh, we spent a lot of time with the children with no job. We bonded as a family. And in Kuwait, I can see the most dads are like, please, and I don't know. Elon Musk doesn't sound like the person who can actually render annoyance. If you tell him something annoying, he'd be like, right? So I don't know how annoying his wife is, but I don't think he notices. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's built in, But yeah, y'all are pretty sleepy. You can't keep up a convo, so we're gonna wrap this up here. All right. Closing statements, all of you.
No, left side of the bow is definitely the way to go.
Die, man. You Kindle liking Syrian piece of shit. Oh, sorry, French Canadian. Worse.
No, not this time.
Choke on your maple syrup. How dare you? Go to the park.
I need to start learning French.
What about you, Arasan?
Oh, I'm sleepy, but I guess shout out to the mandolin, who was actually the mastermind behind everything I've said, and I'm only his messenger, and there's definitely no gun behind my back right now. Don't vote for me. Vote for the mandolin. It knows best.
Mandolin 2020.
And between you and me, if you value your family, pledge your allegiance to the mandolin before the stream ends.
All right. Thank you guys for
Doesn't
watching.
value his family. Fine. If you
We
start
are-
hearing some country music at night, it's already over. It's already too late.
it's done, huh? Nothing else to do. Well, anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. We're finally back. We're gonna stream weekly, same time. You know the drill. Blah blah blah. Like, subscribe, share. Dark Cry Q8 signing out.